Recently, San Martin have found a really nice rhythm when it comes to their all stainless steel sports watches, because at the beginning it did feel a little bit like they were constantly experimenting using different bracelets, different clasps, lots of different logos, different types of case finishing. There was just no consistency between their sports models, but they've now found that consistency, which is good for the brand. It's good for you guys. It means you know what you're getting if you're interested in buying an all stainless steel sports watch. It doesn't make for the most interesting reviews, unfortunately, because I end up showing you the same bracelets and the same clasps, but it's definitely been a step in the right direction. But what it does now mean is when they produce something a little bit different, we can all get very, very excited, and they've now produced a dive watch with a few changes, and I'm looking forward to sharing them with you in this video. This watch is suited to people that like to dwell around in the ocean or maybe the sea. It is a homage watch. I don't like to mention the watches that are being paid homage to for a very good reason. I've put that reason in my video description, so if you're curious, head down there and have a good read. But yeah, in this video, I'm just going to head over to the Lightbox and show you their latest release. I like it. Right, and here it is, the SN0111. It does look a lot like, well, many other watches that San Martin have made in the past, but I can guarantee you there are some fairly significant changes or differences. The first one being, well, they're going to make this watch in titanium. They're currently making it in stainless steel, but later on this year, they're going to offer this watch in titanium. It's not the first watch they've made using titanium. They have made some other watches in the past, but those particular designs I don't think have proven to be that popular amongst AliExpress shoppers and viewers of my channel. So yeah, I think this is going to be the first more mainstream watch that they're going to be making using titanium. I personally do prefer stainless steel. I like that little bit of extra weight. I prefer the color, but still, I think it's awesome that they're going to be offering this watch in titanium. Something else that's a little bit different, this watch has 300 meters of water resistance. Okay, that's not groundbreaking, but on the whole, San Martin produce dive watches that have 200 meters of water resistance. So yeah, nice to see them adding a little bit of extra water resistance capabilities with this watch, given, you know, it's for people that like to dwell around in the ocean or the sea. And there is something else you don't often see with San Martin sports watches. That is domed crystal. They tend to use flat sapphire crystal, and there is a little bit of distortion on this one. So although it's not a true piece of single domed sapphire crystal, I also don't think it's a proper double domed sapphire crystal. Maybe something in the middle. Yeah, adding a little bit of character to the side profile, and you know, sort of in keeping with the watch it's paying homage to. So yeah, that is a nice change. And one of the other big changes and big improvements that I think you guys are going to really appreciate is actually the clasp. It looks like, well, the clasp that they've been using now for quite some time, but it isn't. It hides a little secret. You guys have been asking for this, and San Martin have delivered. It is an on-the-fly adjustment system with this clasp, and it doesn't add too much bulk to the clasp, which is great news because I'm just not a fan of big bulky clasps. It's a little bit longer than I tend to prefer, but still great to see this system being used on their watches now. And I've got to say, it feels beautifully made. Have a listen to this. Oh, sounds good, doesn't it? Bit closer to the mic. Oh, it feels nice, I got to say. Yeah, they've done a really good job of that, and it's nice and simple to use. You just press this little button underneath, it pulls out, and then, yeah, you just have to push it in. Very cool. So they've definitely made some changes for this particular model, although they haven't changed the bracelet too much. It's very, very similar to, if not identical to, bracelets that they've been using on other all stainless steel watches and female end links, which is nice to see. You guys have been asking for that as well, and they have been producing watches with female end links for a little while now, but still, yeah, a very nicely made bracelet and clasp, and overall, I should expect from San Martin, the case finishing does seem very, very nice. Just a small polished chamfered edge running the length of the case, giving the watch an ever so slight sort of dressier look to it, but obviously it is still a sports tool watch. But yeah, nice to see that little bit of detail still, and it's matched on the outer shell of the clasp as well. You can see that high polished surface running down the side or the corner of the clasp. Applied logo there, look. Signed crown. They are fairly consistent with their logos now, which is nice. Applied logo on the dial. Nice and simple screw down case back. I've already mentioned it. 300 meters of water resistance. So yeah, screw down case back, screw down crown. Yeah, and an enamel dial. Enamel dials are quite interesting. They're not your typical sort of standard cheap dials. There's quite a bit more that goes into producing enamel dials, and they're using more and more enamel dials on their watches now, actually. So I found a really good article. I've put a link in my video description. If you're interested to learn about enamel dials, I'm not going to try to explain it. It's not that straightforward. But yeah, if you're interested to know why enamel dials are a little bit different, yeah, head down and check out that article once you've finished watching this video, of course. But as you can see, there's a bit of a shine to it, a bit of a shimmer, and that is yeah, how you can generally tell if dials are enamel or not. I'm going to test the Lume in a moment over a 5-minute period to gauge whether or not it's any good. But before I do that, let's have a little fiddle with the bezel. Are you ready? All feels nice. Oh, the action is a little bit lighter than average, just a little bit lighter. But you've got really, really nice grip on the side of the bezel. Those clicks are beautifully crisp. It does remind me of the latest version of the SN004, their retro-inspired sort of 38-39mm diver. That watch is one of the best watches in terms of its production quality I've ever seen from San Martin, and in particular that watch had a really nice bezel action, and whatever they've done to that watch, I think they've done it to this one because this feels really nice. Have another listen. Yeah, the bezel action is really, really nice. The bezel seems nice and solid, no back play, but I've checked it already, and unfortunately, my bezel insert is slightly misaligned. Look, it just sits slightly to the right. Let me try and get the watch in the middle. That might help. Yeah, sits slightly to the right of the 12 o'clock index. If I move it one more click, you can see it's going to sit quite a bit to the left. So yeah, unfortunately, this one is fractionally misaligned. I've forgotten to mention the movement, NH35 in this watch, which I think is a good choice because when they put the PT5000 in their watches, it tends to, well, price a few people out from buying their watches, doesn't it? It just pushes the price up that little bit. NH35 powered watches from San Martin tend to be well below $250, which I think this one is. So yeah, they're also offering a discount at the moment as well. They're offering it with 2 hands as well. Lots to mention on this watch. They're offering it with these hands. It's currently available with these hands now. If you want it with the sword hands, you're going to have to pre-order it. So yeah, it's nice that they're offering this watch with 2 different types of hands as well, because I'm sure they've seen plenty of people commenting on these hands just saying, ugh, yawn. Now, while I was having a fiddle with the bezel, I perhaps should have mentioned that I'm really happy with the colour of the print used on the numerals and markers on the bezel insert, because in the past they have used a sort of silvery tone, which might be in keeping with the watch they're paying homage to, but I'm just not a fan of it. For this particular watch, they seem to have gone back to a more white tone, which does seem to match the colour of the Lume on the dial pretty well. So yeah, I really like that. So far, it's been, well, pretty much all positives, hasn't it? Other than the bezel alignment, which is a bit of a shame. There are a couple of other minor negatives. NH35, no date on the dial. That's something else that's a little bit different, actually. This particular style of dive watch, although they haven't produced this exact version in the past, generally they produce watches with a cyclops and a date complication at the 3. No date complication on the dial, but that does mean a ghost position, unfortunately, on the crown, which I think will disappoint a few people. And yeah, something else I would have liked to have seen, this is more of a personal preference, for this particular watch, I think a signed rehow or flange would have been a nice addition, wouldn't it? Anyway, I can't really criticise them too much. Because yeah, other than that, all those couple of weaknesses, it's pretty good, isn't it? Right, it's time to test the Lume over a 5-minute period, so let's switch the lights off and yeah, see how quickly it degrades. 5 minutes is up. The Lume is still very, very visible. You do expect to see some degradation, but yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? Good news. I really do think this is one of the best new releases I've seen from San Martin for quite some time, probably since they sent me their latest version of the SN004, the steel and the bronze version. That particular watch, I don't think they could build any better. There are some improvements they could make to this watch, but yeah, for a version 1, I think it's very, very good. It is also in the style of a watch that, I really, really do like. So, of course, I'm going to enjoy this particular model. But, yeah, I do think they have made some really nice improvements. The clasp is fantastic. That on-the-fly adjustment is incredible. I like the slight domage to the crystal. I think it's fantastic that they're going to be offering this watch in titanium as well. I really hope they send me one of those to show you guys. So yeah, a really good new release by San Martin. Definitely one of the best I've seen for quite some time.